Hits for the pound.
Yeah, this is how we do it in the Central Coast, man. We got 40 ounces, Old English, rag tops, 6'4" Impalas, and bikini girls, man. This is how we do it on the West Coast. San Diego, San Francisco, Los Angeles. But don't forget about the Central Cali, man. Please don't forget about the Central Cali. Yeah, get 'em.
It's another sunny day in the state of California. Low rider palm trees and G's that put it on ya. This ain't a negative, we speaking ebonics. Rank talk, candy paint on D's with hydraulics. Baseball hat with the sticker on the brim. Don't let the sun blind your sight, cause things can get grim. But I'm not here to talk about banana clips and guns. We're going back to Cali and we're gonna have some fun. A West Coast domination.
And welcome back to 2K17 the podcast. I'm your host, Brett Segura, out here in Margaret County, also known to the world as the Salad Bowl, also known as the Salinas Valley. To the people in LA, we are north. To the people in San Francisco, we are south. Right smack in the middle, best of both worlds. Don't forget about the Central Cali. Anyway, folks, today we are going to talk about CESAR Chavez. Right, and I know, the story's already been out there, all the accusations, so on and so forth. People are for it or against it, whichever way it goes, right? Here's the thing. I'm not going to get into the whole allegation thing. I will touch on it, but I'm going to give you my side of the or my point of view, I should say, right? So with that said, let me start off by saying that Cesar Chavez, being out here from the Central Coast, the Salinas Valley, so on and so forth, it's a very vital area for those of us that experienced that time period with Cesar Chavez, right? Being that it's the majority of it here is agricultural. Anybody outside of this area, yeah, to an extent, but unless you really had to deal with agricultural, it probably went under the radar, so on and so forth, right? But with that being said, let me get into this. And I've learned a lot more now that I'm older. I look back and be like, oh wow, like I wasn't aware of this part, And I don't mean the accusations. I mean what he stood for, a lot of the stuff that he stood for, right? So with that, let me start by saying, basically, in today's world, he was against the illegals taking the job of the legal Mexican American people in the packing sheds and in the fields and so on and so forth, right? So I remember seeing people going out there and striking, and being out there on strike and saying, hey, you know what, we're on strike because they're not paying us well and so on and so forth, right? So with that said, also came in the scabs, what they called at the time, they called the scabs, come in and do the work for a lower wage, obviously. In today's world, it's the illegals, right? Back then, in that time period, I will say this, they were referred to as wetbacks or mojados or whatever else came down the line, right? Now we try to look at it as a derogatory term, right? Which, in sense, okay, I get it, right? But at the same time, we got to understand that this time period it was a different time. I'm not defending it. I'm not saying that it was right, but I am saying that at the time that's the way people spoke, and it was not it wasn't in a way to downgrade the person, if you will. I mean, as far as my understanding, right? Because I would hear it from adults at the dinner table, at friends, my parents' friends' houses, and so on and so forth. There was some people that were for it, some people that were against it. The understanding was that it was the rich farm workers that didn't like Chavez, but the employees and the people that worked. That was the understanding, at least at the time, right? Therefore, I will say this: my parents, being migrant workers, he meant a lot to me and to us at that time period, for what it is. I mean, it was, I was a little kid. I didn't know much, but it was like, hey, my parents are for it. That's what I'm for, right? That's just it, So I dare say this again, and a lot of people tend to miss this point. We're so focused on the allegations, on what he may or may not have meant to people in general. But I will say this again, living out here in this area in the Salinas Valley, uh, between San Francisco and Los Angeles, the point of being is that I remember seeing the marches go on from a 25-mile radius, right? It was a 25-mile radius, and there was a lot of people. They would march the 25 miles, and technically it's not a march. It's just they were all walking, waving the farmers United Farm Worker flag, uh, and all this other stuff, and the Mexican flag, the American flag, the American flag, the Mexican flag, so on and so forth, right? They're marching all the way down, all the way up for 25 miles, and then they got to a certain location, and they had this big old meeting about everything, and it was a protest of the civil rights. It was a movement, right? Now, I'll say this: those of you who are familiar with the film Malcolm X, starring Denzel Washington, right? There's a scene in there where Denzel, or Malcolm X, I should say, right, walks down the street with a lot of Muslims right behind him, and he's in control of the whole thing, right? And then one officer turns to the other one and says, "That's too much power for one man to have." Okay, that's technically what this was. From what I remember seeing, he was leading the march. And again, it's a lot, because see, a lot of people do not understand it. Again, I've said this and I'll say it again. You saw the movie, you didn't read the book. To actually visualize it and see it really means a lot. It was all over television, so on and so forth, right? But I'm saying see it in real life. I got to see it in real time. It's a big difference, you know, opposed to the little clip you saw on TV, or what you may have heard. Well, I heard this and I heard that. Well, it doesn't matter what you heard. You weren't there. I'm telling you what I experienced in that sense, right? But with that also being said, guys, along come the accusations and so on and so forth, right? Now, let me put it to you guys like this, and I'm going to break it down this way. In particular, in the state of California, right, we have been at each other's throats for years, be it when the state splits in half to north and south, right? I'm not going to get into that whole, that whole political movement. That has nothing to do with me. I don't represent any of that, but I will say that it's a reality, right? And unfortunately, you have a lot of people now on social media pushing that agenda and sit behind a screen, but won't go out there and put themselves out there like that. I don't represent that. I don't believe in that. To each their own. That's their prerogative and their business, right? So, however, with that being said, we also have political parties, whether you're a Democrat or Republican. Now, now either or, you're going to be in the wrong somewhere, right? You're going to be in the wrong somewhere. So now we get into CESAR Chavez, right? At the end of the day, I do not believe that we are ever going to get to the bottom of it. That's just plain simple fact. We are never going to get to the bottom of it to say, okay, did he do it? Did he not do it? And even if we got to the bottom of it, I am not condoning that what happened. If it did in fact happen, I am not condoning that to be right. But however, what I am saying is that we will never, ever, ever find out the actual truth. Now, people can say there's documents been pulled and they're reading them now, whatever. We live in an era today where things can be fabricated to look a certain way. I just talked to a friend of mine a little while ago, and I thought he had a shop of some sort. I'm not going to get into that detail. And he told me, "Oh no, that was AI." I was like, "Oh wow!" Like I really thought it was real. But anyways, so I'm saying that again, I'm not saying that it's not true, but I am saying that a lot of the stuff is can be fabricated. Now, with that also said, guys, again, I'm not condoning if it did happen or whatever the case is, right? But I am saying that, let's just say It happened. Then what? Is there anybody to convict? Is there anybody to arrest? You know, it's pointless in how fast the society, and I say the social media society, is quick to jump on board with these things of to say, hey, well, you know what? Oh, you know, within hours of the accusations coming out, people are taking down statues, taking down flags, taking down pictures, taking down, painting over murals, murals, and so on and so forth, right? And it was just an allegation, but people ran with it, you know. So again, will we ever find out the truth? I don't believe we will. And I'm not going to stand on something where, again, there was 30 years that would happen, and then another 33 years that happened, and now it comes out. Okay, can it be a lie? Yeah, possibly it can. And to many, that makes a lot of sense. Reasonable sense, if you ask me. However, with that being said, if it did happen, then what? And here's the bottom line. Going back to everything else, let me wrap it up with this. Like I said, we have the North, the South. We have the political party, where the Republican, Democrat, whatever way, you're for this president, you're for that president, whatever, right? Now we got another stick through our spokes. Oh, do you believe that what Chavez did? Oh yeah, I do. Hey, well, you're in the wrong. Or no, I don't. Hey, well, you're in the wrong. There's no right or wrong answer to anything at the end of the day. This situation here, at the end of the day, I believe that we'll never get to prove it by any way, shape, or form. And I dare say that this situation here with CESAR Chavez is just separating us more as people. That's my thought. That's my 2 on it. And that's it. With that, this is Two Piece Entertainment Podcast. I am your host, Fred Segura, signing out.
Need the hotline. I'm staring at the sun, hella blind, but I wanna shine. Am I really selfish when I say the world is mine? I catch a stick and stones and never let it hit my bones, but my words are gonna feel me like my knees dropping pedigrees. Music is my specialty like KFC, mac and cheese, 3rd degree with victory. Basically I'm lyrically, you see me every year like your Thanksgiving turkey rolls. Government status, I'm messing up your voting polls like the troll with the magic beans. I'm the host, Jack, you little punk, I put your ass in my crock pot. Call me Captain Spock. Why you? It's burning up my chest to the core, so therefore I can't be ignored. With the Conan sword, Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'm the predator. My blood is turning two-faced green. Check my temperature, you ready for the lecture? As I come with the stretcher, knowledge is the key to everything, so watch your temper. When it comes to the storyteller, I am the treasure. I'm in the laboratory, so please call me Dexter. The music is my pleasure, for 30 years strong. It's two-faced ghetto ballin' to the heart with golden arms and flyer. We the ravens up in the sky. We ain't gon' stop till I retire.
Just a song before I go, to whom it may concern. Haters shake the fist, suckers pitching me rolling. Why you so mad? Why you so serious? You're in my rear view like the slow and delirious. Keep on mashing, getting plenty action. The home of the G's and pimps, I love it with a passion. Throw it up, it's California, where the sun lays to rest like every day. The home of the color rack, swap meets and bangers. Chuck Taylor's Lolos and them real dope slangers. This is reality, it's where I stay. Along the Pacific in the state of CA. Golden State, from Frisco to Compton and back to Central Cali where the party keeps rocking. It's a California state of mind, and you can't be mad, that's just how we ride. Golden State.